How's it going, guys? Charlie from Drunk Guy Explains, and we're here doing the Shao Compendium. Now, the Shao Compendium, it sounds like a really big fancy word, but realistically, it was a subscriber that emailed me a really long list of questions, and I'd just do a video to answer those questions, and I just thought it would be a cool name. So, without further ado, feel free to stop the camera if you want to. It's a $5,000 bankroll. We're not going to be doing strategy. We're just going to be doing answering questions about a strategy. So, hopefully, you guys trust that I did a $5,000 bankroll. If not, it doesn't matter because, once again, we're not really playing. But, we're going to see her and start her off just in case I need to explain a few things. Fingers right. Boom. $5,000 bankroll. I'm just going to put that right here. And let's go ahead and get over the questions, and we'll make this streamlined because I don't want to overlap questions. So without further ado, here we go. In the first hand of the first vid, I'm guessing it was the road to 50,000 drunk craps or turn 500 into 100K. You hit a $6 6 and pressed both for 6 and 8 to 12. Later in that video, you only pressed one of them. In the first hand of the second video, you pressed the 6. So I guess the first question is, what is your rule of that? So what they're talking about is a smaller bankroll. I'm going to go ahead and just use the green. Actually, so I'm going to show everyone. So that's 400, 500. So it's $500. So I can go ahead and just put this away from right now. And we're at a $5 table, and the question is this. When someone's rolled a 7, I usually have a $6, 6 and 8, just like this, and it is working. Now the question is, if you hit that 6, you get paid $7. And sometimes I press the 6, sometimes I go ahead and press both for a 6 and 8, and make it to a 12. When do I do this? When don't I do this? So the first things first is that, generally speaking, let's say if I'm starting at a lower bankroll and I want to grind it out, okay? It's the 7-7 press system. So that means that you have a 7-7, 2 7s in a row. Then if you hit a 6 or an 8, you gain $7. And what you can do with that $7 is just press it into a system and then turn it off until the next time someone rolls double 7s or a single 7 if you want to play a little bit more aggressively. And then if you make $7, you sit here and press the 8. And so on and so forth. And that can go really well, really fast, okay? And so essentially the logic behind this is that, hey, you're starting out with $12, you're gonna keep pressing after double 7s and turn on, hit for 1, and run off. And so what this can do is allow you to build a big enough bankroll to where you're actually, 6, that was mine. You can build enough of a bankroll to do, let's say if this is a really good table that isn't experiencing a lot of triple 7s, you can get it up to $30, 6 and 8, and essentially you're getting to where you're getting paid $35, $42, $49, $56 on a 6 and 8 with only a $12 investment. And by the time you get to that level, you've already made back your money and then some. So sometimes, depending on if I'm in profit or if I'm even, I will either press 1. So let's say if I hit it and I have made $7, I might press 1. Or if I'm in pretty decent profit, even though I won $7, I'll go ahead and put another 6 just to even out the statistic. And that's just mission dependent, essentially. Like, hey, where are you sitting at? Where you want to go for that? If I usually press 1 or the other, it's because I'm not in enough profit or I'm not comfortable enough in my profit margin to where I'm pressing both. And sometimes if I'm in that profit margin, I will press them both. It just depends on where you want to go with that. Now, in saying that, there's also another caveat, is that also it's the mentality of what will you do if you lose it? So a lot of times if you see me pressing 1 or pressing 2 and very slow and tratty, just kind of getting it back, I pretty much know that once I reset, let's say to a 777 to a quad 7, I'm not going to come back for the same amount of loss plus profit. So let's say if this goes ahead and keeps pressing itself and eventually it, let's say, turns into a $30 6 and 8. Now if I hit a 777 or a quad 7 and I lose that 60, I'm not coming back with a $60 6 and 8. I'll probably just reduce it back down to a $6 6 and 8, $12 6 and 8, etc. And the reason why is because I know I'm not chasing that loss because I'm already in the profit, and it started with a $6 6 and 8, $12 6 and 8, etc. So those are the two kind of motifs and things that I look for when I'm looking at the 6 and 8 press program. And that's just my personal opinion. Like I said, it changes every now and then, but you can do so much with the 6 and 8 working after 1 7 or 2 7s that you can play with it a lot. Like for instance, you could have this instance where you say, okay, I want to sit here and do a $6 6 and 8, and then they roll a 7, and then you lose this, and then you say, well, I'm just going to do a $15 don't pass. So they rolled a 7 for the point out. They just rolled a 7 again for a double 7 to lose your 12. And then you sit here and they roll another 7. You lose the 15. So you just lost the 6 and 8 and the don't pass. And it comes right here for a total of $10, $20, $25, $27. And then after triple or quad 7s, you can sit here and say, well, you know what? I'm just going to do a $30 6 and 8 because after 3 or 4 7s, that's a pretty good bet. Boom, hits it, gets paid 35, which you already make that plus profit, etc. There's just a lot of mobility and versatility when it comes to 6 and 8, depending on how you want to play. So that is, well, unfortunately, it sounds bad, but that's the best answer I can give you for that question. I don't know why I did that, but it made me feel good. All right. Question number 2. Related to that, I guess would be the general strategy for pressing, regressing. When you are pressed up based on winnings, it look like you're okay with just starting over at 6. Just explain that. So good news is, guys, I did not reread these before the video. But when you lost the 6 and 8 on the come out, you'd press them a unit and chase. Is that always the case? How far do you chase? If the session started with a bad run of 7s, would you just keep pressing them until they're all in? Okay, so I've already told you kind of the mentality of the pressing part of this, but the regressing part is very much so dealing with profit and the situation you're in. Now, for instance, if he's talking about the chase, yeah, I can chase down pretty well. Like, for instance, a lot of people say, well, what's the farthest you'll chase to? Well, I guess I'd chase to the farthest ends of the earth if that was the case, but you have to realize that where is a good, comfortable spot for you? So for me, general rule of thumb, I might want to say I want to survive at least 6 7s in a row. So I need to base a betting strategy if I'm doing the 6 and 8 on if I'm going to do 7 7s in a row. And does my bankroll sustain 7 7s in a row? Now there's a couple things you can do with that that's going to make it really fun. So first of all, you can sit here and say, okay, well, double 7s happen. I'm starting with a 6 and 8. Let's say if I lose that, you're coming into a $12 6 and 8. If I lose that, et cetera, that means I'm hooked in for 7. Let me make sure. 30, 36. I think usually at this level I do a $30, even though I'm taking a dollar loss on that one, just because I don't want to get too crazy. Then after that, I think I do something like a 90 or maybe even a $72 6 and 8. So on and so forth. I only have $500, but I usually have $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 bankroll. So that right there, progressing. Now, in saying that, I'm going to be this is something I don't generally do for my videos, and I don't really talk about this a lot in my videos, but I'm going to say this to you guys, okay? And then let's say if you're really scared about getting a multitude of 7s, right? And you don't want to get cracked on a multitude of 7s. Not a big deal. So what you would do in that situation is say this. Okay, I have a $6 6 and 8, right? I lose it, not a big deal. Let's go ahead and move on to a $12 6 and 8. If I can do it, there you go. $12 6 and 8. And I lose that. That's someone rolling like a 7 to lose the point, a 7 on the come out, 2 7s, and then they just rolled a 7 again to lose your $6 6 and 8. So that's 3 7s. And let's say you lose this. That's 4 7s in a row. What you can do is, and it takes a little bit longer, but you just stop right there. And whatever the point is, doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. Oh, they 7 out, okay? When they 7 out again, then, since you lost 10, 20, $36, should be, yep, $36, then you come into a $30 6 and 8 working, unless they hit another 7, so that's 2 7s in a row. Let's just say you go to a $90 6 and 8, which you should be doing like a 72, but I'm just doing this for the video's sake. And let's say you hit another 7. So that's once again 4 sevens in a row. Well, then you wait, make a point, bada, 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 and then point comes off. And then you can do, let's say if you have $500, you might have to regress this down to a smaller amount. But let's say you do a 150, look at this, a 150, 6 and 8 working, and then maybe a 410, 420, 6 and 8 working, something like that. And the logic behind that is this. Hey, I don't think that 3 shooters in a row or 4 shooters in a row is going to roll quad sevens over and over and over again. That's a very much slower play, but at the same time, it gives you a little bit more endurance, a little bit more action, and at the end of the day, you never will get really popped by someone hitting 7 sevens, 8 sevens, 9 sevens, etc. I guess if that's possible. I've never really seen that in 11 years, and I've rolled a lot, and I've seen a lot. I think the most sevens I've ever seen at one time is 6 sevens. Feel free to comment and tell me what's the most sevens you've seen. But so that's kind of like the part 1 for the pressing system. If you get a little bit leery about the 6 and 8, now the regressing system is pretty much simple. It's saying, hey, I usually do a heavier bet and then regress a lot of times when I'm in profit. So if you're at the casino, you're getting bored, or you're in profit, you just want to kind of take a mini break, or you don't mind taking stabs at good statistics. Let's say you say, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm going to do, and I did this the other night, $60, 6 and 8, $25, 5 and 9, and she is working, and this was at a $15 table, and I hit the 6. I'm going to pay myself out over here so that way I don't like commingle funds. So I got paid $70, and then I got regressed down, or I got hit with a 6, boom. I got paid $70, and I said, okay, I want a $15 5 and an $18 8, and I took the profit back. And I just ran that. And if I hit any of those, let's say if I hit that, I got paid $21 on an 8. I'd say, hey, press me by 6. So what I did was, if I could just kind of like, I guess, try to intellectually describe this, you start big, or you start with a moderate bet inside your bank or inside your profits. That's the biggest thing. If I'm up like $500, I don't mind dropping a little bit. If I'm up 500, I don't mind doing like $100 across or something like that. And if I hit, boom, made 70, outstanding. That was freaking awesome. And then out of that 70, I'm actioning $33, which is still awesome. And out of that 33, I'm pressing 6 and claiming 15. So for instance, a lot of times you'll see dealers do this all the time. Let's say I have an $18 out there, and I'm going to do this very slow because some people miss it. $18 out there, I hit it. All right, you'll always see someone say, I want to press by 6. They'll just do this. They will take either this and give you that, and so forth, and then boom. So right there, you made 15 back. So first of all, you made, and let's just put that right there because I had that right there. So you made 70, you invested 33 back, and at 33, you hit and got 15 back for change. And so now you're technically 18 into a $70 investment, so you're only investing like a seventh, maybe 2 sevenths. 2 sevenths of your initial profit back into the system, but now, let's say if you hit that again, that's giving you $28, right? 21, yeah. $28, and that $28, if you just click it, or let's say you give it back, so let's just say boom, you turn that into a 30, and now you're getting back 15, 20, 22, so now you are in profit, and all this is free floating you, so on and so forth. And a lot of times, and I know I'm talking kind of fast, but a lot of times if I hit it, then regress down to something like this, and let's say I hit an 8 for 21, I'll say, okay, press it by 6, and they say bet, and they give me back 15. If I hit anything else again, I'm like, all right, 21. And then I'm like, all right, let's say the 5. I'll press it by 5 and take back the 16. And now, let's say for the second bet, I can either press it by 1 unit, $5 or $6, or if I'm feeling froggy, if you want to just enjoy the fact that you're shooting with players, you can say, I want to do full presses now, or even half presses. Like right here, 20 pays 28. And you're like, okay, I just want to do $25 now, and click back this into my rack. And so there's just so many ways you can just play with that number. And so that's kind of my regress. But I always, generally speaking, do that inside profit. So if I'm in profit, then you see me kind of playing a little fun, like moderate bet, regress down, press up, and then maybe shuck it or sideline it. So there's kind of the answer to that. I know that's really long, but hey guys, it's not called Drunk Guy Explains for anything, you know. All right, next question. The times you had 20 on a no 4, I guess I'm going to do that, 20 on a no 4. Then, okay, the times you had 20 on a no 4 and hit the points, so I guess the... All right, let me just read the whole question. The times you had 20 on a 4 and you hit the point, then you put 20 on the don't pass. Usually you do loss plus 5, but sometimes if a 7 came up, you just repeat the 20. What's the rule there? When do you do a running loss plus 5, and how far do you chase that? Well, I can tell you right now, the chasing part, if you want to know the chase is always to bankruptcy. I know that sounds really scary and all that stuff, but I always chase to bankruptcy. Make your last bet the best bet. So I'm assuming if I had a 4 here, but I had nothing on the pass and don't pass, I put $20 right here, I guess, and I had some junk here, so I'm guessing that this was all at the $5 level because all these questions are generally at the $5 level. So I had something like this, and then they made the 4, so it came out. I'm going to put a little fire bet here, and I lost the 20. Okay, I'm going to put this over here, and then I put in 20 right here. So a lot of times if you see me do something like a flat bet so I don't do a running loss, that's because I might have made a risky play when I wasn't in profit, or I made a risky play and I'm just not prepared to chase it down even further. And when I say by that, it's not the fact that I'm not chasing, it's that I'm not looking at the second bet, third bet, fourth bet, fifth bet, sixth bet, seventh bet, eighth bet. A lot of times when I start my betting process, I'm looking at where will this lead me down? What's the worst case scenario for what I'm doing? And I know that sounds really morbid and that doesn't sound fun, but it isn't fun. But if you're always planning on this first bet, where is this going to lead me to, then it prepares you for what's going to happen for your next bet, your next bet, and your next bet, and your next bet, and your next bet. So a lot of times, if let's say I had a minimum profit, or I had no profit at all and I had a $500 bankroll, and a point becomes a 4, and I put like a $50 no 4, and then a $12 6 and 8, and the first roll they hit a 4, unless I don't have a pay it big, I don't know why I wouldn't, but let's say I didn't pay it big, I'm like, okay, well I don't want to go 75 because if he rolls another 7, now I'm down to 125, so let's just say to make that back up, I put another 125, and let's say double 7s or triple 7s, happens a lot, boom. Now where my bankroll's at is 100, let's just say 200 bucks. So in a very short amount of time, in the worst case scenario, I might be hooked for a lot more than I need to be hooked for. So if I lose 20 right here, you know, I'll sit here and say, okay, I lost 20, and I'll put another 20 right here. Let's say if I lose that, I'm like, okay, let's say if I lost it to a 7, I'm like, all right, well, I'm down 40, so let's just say I'm going to try to hit it for just a little bit back. So let's say double 7s, or point out, might do a $30 6 and 8 working. If, let's say I don't hit that and the point becomes a 5, I might say, well, I'm going to take the risk and do a 75 no 5, not because I'm trying to hit the 7, because I'm trying to hit the 6, and if the 6 pays 35, I can do a 10, 20, 35 with a $5 loss, come down off the lay, turn these off, and now I'm only down to $5, and let's say they do hit that 5 point, and they make the 5 point, so you hit the 4 point, when they made the 5 point, I'm down $5 on the $5 minimum table, I can come into the don't for 15 right here, and let's say they hit a 7, boom, 7 on the come out, so I'll lose that, so I'm down to 20, and then I'm coming back to 25, onto the don't pass, point becomes like a 6, doesn't matter, I don't like a 6, 25 on a 6, but we're here, let's say you lose that, boom, third point, comes back, alright, so I'm like, oh man, this is not fun, but let's say, okay, well, you know, I'm down $45, so I can do 50, and right there in that mental game, I'm saying, well, you know what, I don't want to sit here, what's going to happen? Let's say if a 7-7 happens, what happens if 7-11 happens? So let's just say, boom, hit a 7, another 7 on the come out. So you lose that. So now you're down like $95. You say, you know what? Double 7s. I'm going to do a $60 6 and 8. And it's working. Boom, hit an 8 because I'm going to make this stretch. So hit an 8 for 70. So boom, let's just do it correct. hit that, immediately turn off, and so I got this back. I'm still hooked for 25. Let's say they make that point. Boom. 5th unique point. You're like, oh my God. So first of all, you're going to see, all right, bring me down off this crap because that's not going to stay high. We're not going to keep that pumping up. And then you're like, all right, well, he's on his, this is 25 to 1 just to pay this. So you're probably at 35, 40 to 1 to win the next don't. So you're saying, okay, I'm looking pretty good here. So boom, let's do 50. Then it comes back to the 6. You're like, oh my God. So you regress down to 25 because you're not an idiot. And so you're hooked 25, you have 25. I'm net now. I'm just trying to get back where I can without getting hooked too deep. And let's say, boom, hits another 6. You're like, oh my God, here it comes. We're 30 minutes into a roll. I'm getting hammered out here. But look where we're at now. So you're down 50. You have a $500 bankroll. 2, 4, 5 points have been rolled. I'm putting probably, once again, loss plus 5 because now I'm in a really good position. And boom, hits a 5. Doesn't matter. You're like, well, it's not a 6 or an 8. Yeah, it's not a 4 and 10. It's not a 6 or an 8, though. So I'll say, you know what? I'm probably going to put like a $30 odd on this because, hey, man, you've made 2, 4, 5 points. You're on an outside number. You're not on a 6 and 8, and you're rolling like crazy. So let's just do that. Boom, hits it. You make the $5 right there, so you're feeling happy about that. And then you're making an additional $20 right here for a profit of $25. And that all started with literally just a $6, 6 and 8, okay? And I was trying to hedge it off of 4. The biggest, I would say, pucker thing about this craps game is the fact that if you hedge that 4 too heavy, so for instance, you have a 4 and you say, you know what, I want to make buku. You're like, I'm just going to do a 2. If I can do it right. Good Lord. See, in the morning time, my fingers never work right. Stupid burns. All right, so you have a $200 no 4, and you're saying, I'm going to just spread $100. I'm not going to do this correctly just because I'm not just going to, boom. $100 right there. Yeah, man, I'm up. Like, this is good. I'll hit 35s and all this stuff. Like, I feel really confident about this bet. This is going to be awesome. Then double 4 happens, and then now you're hooked, but you don't have the liquidity, and you also don't have the longevity to run multiple points because you put it all on the first point. And that's why I always say make your last bet the best bet. And so that's hopefully the answer you're looking for. If you are chasing the don't pass loss and have money on the 6 and 8, but it's off, do you take that down to fund the don't pass? Eventually, having the last of your money all in on the don't pass. Well, I just posted a picture to the DGE Discord and to the, I think the DGE Discord, where I did. Yeah, literally, if you go to that page, and this is no guff. I'm trying to make it realistic. Okay, so the other day I had $1,000 on the don't pass, and I just went like this, and I had it all out there, and they had to take when they hit the 7, they had to look at all this and do a proper payout, and yeah, all of it was on there. I think I also had, excuse me, a 2K, no 4 as well. So look at that. I mean, it was all money in. Just looked exactly like that. Had nothing in my rack. It was all on the table. So just, food for thought, guys. Like, it happens. It's going to happen sometimes. I will always say this to everybody that watches my show is that you do to your comfort level. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm saying that, hey, listen, guys, like, the reason why, first of all, I have the nuts to sit here and put big bets out there is because it's my system. I created it. So if anybody's to blame, it's me. In my own way. And so I find it very difficult if I was watching a YouTube video if I was going to put all in like that. And just because I don't trust people on YouTube. I wouldn't trust my damn self if I saw me on YouTube. And that's why I always say to everybody, like, you should run 100 hours, 200 hours, 300 hours. Play in your basement until you make $100,000 at a private basement before you ever go to a casino. Why? Because you need to know the ins and outs. You need to just roll it out, and not just the fact of saying, oh, I know what to do in that situation. You need to run that situation. What do you do when a 7-4 4 comes out. Boom, 744. What happens when you do that? What's your action? How do you portray that? What do you react to that kind of situation? And in your experience of doing that journey of doing it yourself over and over and over again, you become a better craps player. So, boom. And I guess your entry card, yeah, I'll take down the 6 and 8 to do it. Making sure there's nothing else. Thanks in advance. Keep up the good work content and your burn recovery. I appreciate that. So, that's pretty much it. It wasn't, like I said, there's really good questions, and I had to do a video because, I can't write that much in an email. I don't want to spend all day doing that. So, other than that, guys, this is the Shao Compendium. Hope you guys enjoy this chart from Drunk Guy Explains. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that fucking bell button, all the good stuff. All right, guys? This is Chart from Drunk Guy Explains. Check you guys next time.